and sisters, I come to you with another word from the Lord who gave me permission to release this. So, whoever has ears, let them hear. And whoever this message is for, let it resonate in your spirit. Take every message that I speak, take it up with the Lord, because He is the one that is going to give you more confirmation. I'm just the messenger. So, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to deliver a message. Okay. Dear Holy Spirit, I welcome you into this space as the Lord has anointed this space for you to be and dwell in. So I ask that if there's anything that you want to say or speak while I'm speaking, may you shut me off and may you turn on. May your presence be filled in this room and in my body. May you use me as the vessel that I am down here to be, a servant of the whole Trinity. In whatever way you want to use me, I am here. Holy Spirit, may you thrive and may your glory be seen. In your name, amen. Okay, let's jump to, guys. So, what am I here to say? What am I here to say? God is telling me that He is calling so many of you, and many of you are not answering the call. You guys are still asking for confirmation. You're still asking, is it me? Am I chosen? Am I a prophet? What is my title? Where am I supposed to be? Listen to me. You have been chosen. How do you know? Through your lifestyle, through your upbringing, through the hardship, through the circumstances, you are chosen. Let me give you an example, a couple examples, so you guys know, because the Lord says that He wants you to walk in it now. It's time to go to the next level. You're off of questions. Questions is good, but we're not on questions right now. He has answered your questions. He have gave you confirmation after confirmation, and deep down you know. So stop questioning yourself. Stop questioning His authority. You have been anointed. Now the question is, will you answer the calling? Will you? I know I have. I stop asking God and I start following Him. I start just following. It's time to be quiet. There's a time to speak. There's a time to be quiet. There's a time for everything. And God said right now, He doesn't want to hear you ask Him, can I get another sign? He has gave you multiple signs. If you have had a childhood where you have been isolated, where you have been the black sheep, were you the odd one? Were you the one that never blend in with the family? You were the sibling that always stood out because you were kind of weird. People thought you were weird. Weird in the sense that you didn't play like the others. You didn't interact with everybody. You were kind of withdrawn, right, from the rest. So they kind of looked at you like, that's a little odd child over there. You got 4 siblings and that one doesn't really come play and speak and run around. You were somewhere else. You were in your feelings. You were seeing the environment. You got vibes that you probably didn't even pick up on. You didn't even know. When you go to people's houses, they treat you different from your siblings. Whether you were the one to get snapped at, or you the one to always get blamed when something went down, or you the one that always got the evil eye out of all the siblings. When they called your name, they called it very strongly, right? Tiffany, not Tiffany. Hey, did you just Tiffany? Okay, but you're calling everybody else's name a little bit more. Ashley, Kimberly, hey, Thomas, hey, Jimmy. But mine was Tiffany all the time. It didn't matter where I was or what I was doing. My name was always said like it was irritating people. Even if I didn't do anything, I always recognized that. So I always made sure I stood out. So that way I gave nobody no reason to shout my name. Okay? So that's one. Were you that child? Were you that child? I remember always going to family members' houses, and I was always the one to get blamed. Always. It did not matter. Right? And then as I grew older, I always got blamed because they said, hey, well, she looks like she was the one that did it. She looks like she's just the one that had her hands in the cookie jar. And I wasn't. 98% of the time it wasn't me. I had friends, when I would hang out with them when I was younger, their parents would look down on me and thought I was the bad influence when I was saving their kids from doing God knows what. I was the good influence, but it never spent that way. It was always, I don't know if I want you hanging out with that girl. I don't know if I want you going with that girl. That girl seemed fast to me. I don't really like her vibe. I don't know if she's going to get you in trouble. And if they got in trouble and they were with me, I was the one that caused their child to get in trouble. It never made sense to me. Because when I would hang out with their child, it was their child that was smoking and offering me to smoke and me telling them, don't smoke, ditching classes, changing clothes in the bathroom. Okay, like it was mind blowing, but let me walk up and I was the one that got accused of bringing that child up, flipping that child out. What? Did not make sense. I was disrespectful. Didn't even know me. All I had to do was show my presence. Because, beloved, these spirits know you're coming. They feel you, young or not. That's why some people don't like kids. They're really nasty to kids. You know, how can you be nasty to kids? Because they see that glory on that child. Okay, you have intimidated, you have stirred up disruption to these spirits by you just coming in that atmosphere. And I didn't know it at the time. So I always felt like an outcast. I always felt like I didn't belong. I never knew what I did wrong. So I ended to start flowing by myself and getting used to that, right? My mom would snap at me and didn't know why. And she said, you know, she had her reasons, but it was always more harsher than my siblings. Right. And then my auntie, she always, when she came around, she would isolate me. Right? My brothers and sisters is light skinned. I'm the only dark one. So when she would come by, she would make it known that I was the dark one. She would always make me isolate. She would make me set apart from the rest. And it used to make me cry. She used to call me names. And, you know, she had a drug addiction and abuse of alcohol. So when she would come, she was a little bit, well, she was under the influence. So when those spirits was fully on her, they came after me like ravaging dogs. Let me tell you, who let the dogs out? I mean, she would go hard. She would call me out my name. She would speak what I was not going to be. And I was jealous and I was dark skinned. I mean, she would try to burn me with her cigarettes. I mean, tell me about it. It was real. It was very real. And I never understood. It left me feeling sad. It left me feeling like they wasn't my family. I always felt like I always felt a separation between them because of treatment and then how I was raised and then going out. I still got my brothers and sisters that they were just always accepted no matter where they were. And for me, it was just always hard. I always have to prove to people who I am and that I am nice and I am sweet and I didn't steal from you and I do have good intentions. But they would look at my brothers and sisters and it wouldn't be a question. It wouldn't be a doubt. But everywhere I went, I felt like I had to explain who I was. If something came up missing in the house, all eyes was on me. I don't know why. Titles always stuck. So I started to, when my mom went to parties or to her best friend's house, I started to go to the car. I would stay in there for 30 minutes. I would speak. I would make my presence known. And then I would ask my mom for the car keys to go sit in the car. And I would sit in the car for hours until they were ready. It didn't bother me, but I would sit in that car in my own world. And it made me feel at peace and safe. And that way, if something happened in the house, my name was not there. It was not in it. And they could not say I did it. So it became a habit. Wherever we went, whether it was a party, I would stay for about 30 minutes to an hour. And then I would ask my mom for the car keys and withdraw. And it worked out for me. Anytime I stayed overextending my 30 minutes or to an hour, like trying to have fun with the kids, I got that, Tiffany, did you do? Tiffany, I know you did. And it would just break my spirit because I couldn't be a kid like everybody else. I couldn't just run around and play because the way my name was said as a child, you guys, that it just always made me feel like I was guilty. And I was not. And I would get an apology later on. Oh, hey, you wasn't the one that stole that gold necklace. It was actually Tommy, Linda's child. I didn't even know he was in the room. I would get apologies like that. Hey, my bad for accusing you. I thought it was you because. Wow. So I just got used to withdrawing myself. Just listening to the radio, to staying in private time. I actually look forward to when my mom got called to events because I would sit in the car. I used to love sitting in the car, being by myself. No interruptions. And she would stay at my, her best friend's house for hours. I mean, we would get there probably like 5. She would stay there till at least 11 o'clock. And that whole time, I would get out the car, go eat, come in, let my mom know I was okay, go back to the car. But that was the most thrilling time of my life because I knew no one could accuse me. No one can say, hey, you did. Hey, you did that. It was nothing. It was guilt-free. And at the same time, I was in a different atmosphere. But what I did not realize is when I would go into these houses, when I would go to these parties with my mom, I was able to see spirits on people. I didn't know what it was. I could see someone from a smile how nasty they really were. Or when they smiled, they kind of had their lip up or with disgust. I was always able to read through it or how ungenuine they were. right? Or how they were pretending because my mom was right there. I was always able to tell, so it always put a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I don't want to be around these people. They don't really like me. My mom used to think I was tripping. She was like, girl, calm down. You're just always judging people. But I wasn't. It was something that I always seen through people. My discernment has always been on fire. Did not know what it was being younger, but it was on fire. I knew who to sit with, who not to sit with. I knew the good characters from the bad characters. I knew who was shifty, all by a room. I was able to read every single person. So sometimes when I went places, it was so much for me that I just wanted to go sit in a car. Seeing all these people and the spirits on these people and watching them drink and transform before your eyes, watching a married woman sitting there flirting with Thomas in the back of the room, watching Linda over there looking at Christy. They got gay eyes on each other. It was a lot. I didn't even know what I was being exposed to. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but I could read a room. Listen to me. I could read a room like you could read a menu. Yes, at a very young age. So I used to withdraw. And I think now, looking back on it, it was intense. It was a lot. And those spirits knew I was coming. So they will always be nasty. They will always turn on me, right? So I just always just went to my own area. How many of you as children always had like a quiet area, a quiet corner, somewhere where you went where it was just you? Where you just felt a calmness, where you wasn't around family members and you just felt like you could be yourself. That car space when we went places was where I could be myself at all times, okay? So moving on. Another way you can tell that you're set apart is at the end of the day, the isolation. God has always put me in isolation. Even if I hung out with friends, I would just long to go be by myself to just unravel everything that happened. Like, I was hanging out with them and I was either pretending like I was having fun or I wanted to do what they were doing. Meaning like when I hung out like 7th, 8th grade and hanging out with girls and they're talking about people and they're gossiping and they're talking about what they're going to wear and their tube tops. I would just sit there and agree like, but had no interest in what they were talking about. Did not care for boys, didn't care about being mean towards people. I used to always feel in my spirit that it was wrong. Like, how could y'all just sit here and talk about people? I didn't have a voice then to speak up. I didn't know what was happening because I'm like, why can't I just fit in? Why can't I be at this age? Why can't I just blend with these people? And I had a very good friend that I grew up with from 3rd grade all the way to 7th grade. And we both went into junior high together. And junior high is it's an expansion of elementary, right? You're kind of growing up. And me and her were super tight. And when we went to junior high, you got cliques, you got different people that you could be a part of, and she kind of took a different route. We both was hanging out with the same people, but I always got a bad taste in my mouth to the point where they're like, we don't want to hang out with you. I'm like, whatever, because I just had a bad attitude. I always say I had a bad attitude. I never wanted to participate. I didn't like to talk about people. I didn't want to dress the way they was. I wasn't talking about boys, so they didn't really see a need for me. So they pretty much like, kind of threw me out, which was fine. But my friend, I expected, I'm like, well, come on, girl, we don't have to hang out with them. Long and behold, she left me hanging. She was like, no, this is where I want to be. So that course of whole year through junior high, I watched her evolve into something else, into what they were. And that was never her character. She was always so quiet and nerdy and goofy. And then she went to like a little hot girl and listening to all the like suckling music and carrying books and all the guys wanted her, rolling her eyes. She was a mean girl. She was a mean girl. She stopped speaking to me, and I was so shocked because, you really see your kids transform as they get higher in the grade level. So you have to pay attention. And what that had showed me was she was a follower. She was a follower. And it was a one event where they came up to her and said that she was talking about so-and-so. It was after PE. And she didn't speak to me, so, I went my way. She was going her way. But I always still looked because I knew her. So she was very familiar to me. I always made sure I looked to see where she was at or what way she was going to class. So as we're leaving PE, she's walking straight. I'm walking around. And the same girls that, wanted us to hang out with her, you always got a group leader. You always got a demon that's leading the followers. And this girl, oh, goodness, she was rotten. She comes up to my friend and she's like, I heard you said this behind my back. Mind you, they all hang out together. And she's like, no, I didn't. And she slapped her so hard that she literally did a whole spin around. She dropped all her books, and then next thing the girl was like, keep my name out your mouth. And I swore, I went to go help her. I picked her books up with her, and I was like, you don't have to take that. Like, we can hang back out. You don't need those type of people. And behold, beloved, the next day she was hanging out with them, and she still didn't speak to me. She wanted to be a part of that clique so bad that she took that slap. And she was always the weakest link. They will always punk her. But she wanted it so bad that she allowed herself to be punked. Are you a follower? I was never a follower. I wanted to, but I never could. I always had a mouth. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do it. I'm not about to kiss him. You don't run me. I remember I spent the night with this girl, and this was pretty much the end of me going in that route and that clique. It was Valentine's Day. She lived closer to the school. She said I could spend a night. I asked my mother. My mom said yeah. Her mom was super cool. She had a sister that was super cool. So I ended up spending the night at her house. We spent the night at her house. She lays at the top of the bed. I lay at the bottom of the bed, and we ended up going to the dance. That next week, she told everybody that I was trying to touch her. And I remember saying out my mouth, even if I was a lesbian, you're not even my type at all. You're ugly to me, girl-wise. And she just flipped out. She came to my apartment. She was hunting me down. She was knocking on my door. She was waiting for me at the bus stop. She wanted to beat me up. But she spreaded that rumor. And I had to shut it down immediately. Like, no, that ain't what happened. And told everybody what happened. I was always so bold. Like, even if she hunted me, I was scared. But you're not about to punk me and spread these lies. So do you have a leader spirit or a following spirit? Were you willing to take hits and still follow people? I didn't care if it left me alone. I was used to being alone. But what I was not about to do was stand for people who was not really for me or for anybody else. They were nasty. I could not just sit around no matter how much I wanted friends. I didn't want friends in that way. So what I'm saying, beloved, is when you are called to a higher calling, you can't just have any friend. You can't just hang out with any people. You can't just put yourself in any situation. It doesn't mix. It doesn't vibe. If you do, you're going against your whole body. I know that for a fact. And you're sitting there suffering because you're being fake. Fake putting on a mask. Yeah. No, I do like that. I cannot do that for a very short period of time. For so short period of a time that I had to withdraw. And I accepted my place. I accepted my place in junior high that was not going to be for me, that I was not going to be able to follow people. I was not going to be able to dumb myself down to take abuse from someone who thought they were a leader who was rotten. It just was not going to work. I would have been fighting my whole life. So if you're called to be set apart, you were never a follower. You were always a leader. No matter if you were even under people, you always knew you could do it better. You always in your head was going over like, this ain't it. This ain't how we should do this. This is what we should. You are a leader. Listen to me. You're set apart. You're a leader. Okay? So that was another indication. God is saying that he has told and shown many of you through your life, through your upbringing, that you have never been a follower, that you have always been a leader. Second, behold, once you got older, if your family couldn't get what they needed out of you that benefited them, they threw you to the wayside. They talked about you. They went back to gossiping. If you had money, if you had a settlement, if you had something they wanted, if you have a house that they could use for parties, you were the it. You were the moment. You were that child. You were that sibling. But the moment it passed, the moment you said no, the moment you didn't have, all of a sudden your phone is not ringing. All of a sudden your mom's not coming by. All of a sudden you're not giving the compliments. It's because, beloved, at the end of the day, what does the devil do? He will try to use you up. So many of you, whether if you bought your love or you knew that your family members was only around you because of what you had to offer, you knew it, but you wanted it, you went ahead and put that out there, that's totally fine. But when it shut down, everything closed off. Your phone stopped ringing. It was always you calling on the other end. What are you guys doing? Are you guys having an event? If you had to come, you had to bring majority of the stuff. It's a reason why you had to be around family, but it was not because of your presence. They had to take you because they needed something for you. The moment you shut down and didn't have anything for family members or friends, they stopped calling you. They had no need for you. They already knew who you were. They already knew who you were. And the moment that you realized who you were, you stopped being used. And you knew that the moment you were going to stop being used, your phone was going to stop ringing. So God said the moment you accepted that, the moment you accepted that you don't have to pay for love, that you don't have to give to be loved, that you are enough. And if they cannot see it, then they do not deserve you. And you rode with that, and you've been sitting in isolation for a year or 2 years because no one's messing with you. Friends are not calling you because you're not driving them to the club. You're not putting gas. They can't use you. They can't borrow money from you. They can't just come crash at your house. They can't just call you in the middle of the night to come pick them up. You're not that go-to friend where you're always jumping for them. They're not even calling you no more. God said, then you have accepted who you are. At that point, you have accepted who you are. You have accepted the terms that this is going to be isolating, and he will move these people, that these people were not for you. He was waiting for you to stop chasing the people, for you to realize that you deserve love without being used. So if you have went through that stage where you just said enough is enough, I don't want to be your go-to friend. I don't want you calling me for everything you need. I don't want to be the DD driver. I don't want to pick you up from the club. I don't want to watch you. I don't want to be your security guard. I don't want to be any of that. If I can't just be a friend like everybody else, as I watch you be a friend to everyone else, then I don't even want to be your friend. Then you're getting it. Then you're starting to understand. If I have to sit alone instead of sitting with 10 people that don't like me, that only think that they only call me because I can afford the hotel room, or I'm the friend that got the money, or we can go to this trip because we need somebody to split the trip with and she got it. If you're that only friend, if you're that only family member where it's like, oh, it's called Tiffany because she'll put half on the venue and we could do this, and it's time for you to step back. And if you don't know, God is saying step back and he will show you. Because when he starts to bring people in your life that loves you, they won't ask nothing for you. You're going to do it. Certain things, yes, you're going to do it, but not because they're asking, not because they're expecting. And when you don't deliver, they will still call you. They will still love you. They're going to be like, okay, well, I'll figure something else out. It's a real healthy relationship. But before you can get to a healthy relationship, you got to see the bad ones. You got to see the seeds. And some of you guys don't want to see it yet. Some of you guys are like, well, I still got more in me. I still got more money to give. I still got more time. I can still drop everything. I can still fit Linda in. I can still do this. And God is saying, okay, he's going to let you run yourself ragged. So when you come to the realization that you don't have to kiss your sister butt no more, that you don't have to jump up and down for your brother, just for your brother to be your brother, if they don't like you, then they will never like you. But that doesn't mean you can't love them. And that doesn't mean that God is not going to work on their heart. Okay, so that's one. I had to get to that point where it's like, you know what? I don't have anything, just who I am. I have to come as I am. And it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. My phone stopped ringing. No one wanted to come to my events. I wasn't offering nothing. I had nothing to offer, just who I was. And it wasn't enough. So I sat there. And you think I got pop-ups? Only if it was a need, only if it was convenient for somebody. And then I start seeing with a different set of eyes that, wow, I can waste my whole life feeding people who only want to be fed and can give me nothing, while I drain everything I have out to pour into people who don't even want to mess with me. So then that's when the journey began to walk in that wilderness, to sit there and truly be alone and realize that at the end of the day, I deserve to be loved. I deserve to walk as I am. And there's someone out there, friends and additional family, God can extend your family, that will love me for me, that want to listen to me, that want to hear me, that want just to be around me. And it started, beloved. So God is saying that at the end of the day, if you have went through your wilderness, that's what the wilderness was. It was really to withdraw you from everybody so you can see, so he can bring the new people in your life, so he can work on your heart, so you can pray for those people. You can't pray for people if you don't know what's happening with people. You got to go through a forgiving phase. It's a lot that goes into that. But once you get into that, you know exactly what you need to pray for. Right? So at the end of the day, that's another way that you can tell. Is at the end of the day, you're always the one trying to keep the wheels going on a broke down car. You're the one rotating those wheels. You're the one putting the gas in that car. And then when you stop, whether you don't have the money, whether you hit hard times, that car completely stops. No one else is rolling those wheels. It was all you. It was all you. Okay, that's another thing. When you are called to a higher standard, there's no one really putting gas in your car. Not in your old places, right? Not the people that you think that is supposed to do it. They're most likely not. So if you're the person that's always pushing those wheels, always putting gas in that broke down car, and the moment you stop, the car doesn't move, that's because you're called to something else. That's because God is saying, let that car be dead, because he has fuel for you to put in something else. So that's another reason. So at the end of the day, when you come around, it's not that your family doesn't like you. It's not that your friends don't like you. It's not any of that. You cannot fit in where you don't belong, and you don't belong there. You are called to a higher standard. You can't just go to the club and sleep with random men and take random people home. There's nothing wrong with you. You can't just hang out with any type of friends, okay? You can't just take any type of job. You can't just sit around any type of family member. The things that's going to come out of people when they see your presence is thick, beloved. It's real thick. And you have to have thick skin. So God is calling you, and he said he's not going to keep showing you all the signs that you're called to be more. You have to go back in your life and see, wow, I never did fit in. I always did stand out. I really think that I am different. See, you're taking it as a curse. The devil's lying to you. It's a blessing. It's a call in your life. So go back. Your homework tonight is go back on your life and think about those traumatic times of where you got beat up, where they isolated you, where people jumped you, where friends backstabbed you, where families don't talk to you, where they shut the door on you, where they spread rumors about you, where your man lied about you. Go back, because all this is in connection. And then you'll start seeing, whoa, God, was you calling me? Yes. You're starting to get it. You're starting to get it. So you have to stop fixing things that is not broken and just allow things to happen the way they're going to happen. They're going to happen regardless if you're putting gas in that car will break down. Those people will get away from you. Those people will not like you. Those people will break your heart. Those people are going to do you wrong. It's a matter of fact of you figuring it out that you don't belong. It's probably not their season. I'm not saying they can't come back around. Your family could be worked on, but God is working on you, and he can't work on you if you're still trying to hold on to the dead. Everybody that's in your life who has done you wrong, it was all for training. It's all for training. You have to have thick skin. What you're about to do for the nations, what you're about to do for families, what you're about to do for people, you have to have thick skin. If you could take it from your family, you can take it from anybody. If you could take it from your mother, you can take it from anybody. If you took it from your father, then you can take it from anybody. If you took rejection from your siblings, then you can take it from anybody. Thank them, because where you're going to need to have that thick skin, because beloved, they will tear you up in this world and spit you back out. You can't be up here crying when you're speaking because someone said you're ugly. You got to swallow that pill. You God creation. You're not ugly. Ain't nothing wrong with you, but you have to know that. So now it's time to shut it down. You're asking for God to give you confirmation. He has already told you through your life, through moments, you are set apart. You have a calling on your life that's bigger than anybody can ever tell you. He has been telling you. So you need to go back in your history, okay? Before you shut this chapter, go back on your past and just think, and you will be able to see God. You'll be able to see him. That's how you see God move, because you're in a different place right now where you can see. So your homework tonight is go back, connect it. Well, I got raped. You're probably going to be out there speaking to rape victims. You're probably going to be the one out there praying over rape victims, but you got to forgive. There's certain things, at the end of the day, everyone has their own trials and tribulations and their traumas, but I guarantee you it's because God is going to use it for his glory. So get out of your sorrows. Stop saying that, why me? You have to be comfortable in your circumstances and what happened to you. You got to forgive those people. I love every single one of them people who did me wrong, who shut a door, who judged me, who said not, because that just prepared me for the shoes that I have to walk in today. Now when anybody say it, I can laugh and grin and say, okay, I know how to respond. It's nothing. I actually expect that rejection before they give me rejection. It's okay. And then I pray for them because I know exactly what spirit they have on them. I have seen this spirit before. It is a familiar spirit. Okay? The reason why you have been exposed to certain spirits is because when you come back to them, you're going to be able to call out that spirit. You're going to be able to lay hands on that person. You're going to be able to deliver that person. You're going to be able to call that person out. Okay? So listen to me. Listen to me. Thank the Lord for everything you went through, the good, the bad, the ugly, because let me tell you, the shoes that you're about to start walking in, you need your past. You needed your past to be the present. Okay? So the future that you're going into, you needed all that. Don't be mad at anybody. I don't care who threw shade, who threw salt. You needed the salt, you needed the shade. You needed both so you can be great. They seen greatness on you, but you needed that. You needed that to get thicker skin. Okay? So that is the message today. You are called to be set apart. You can go back to see God working and moving in your life. If you are not a follower, if your family and your friends and your family friends have rejected you, if you were always that odd child that was separated, that was isolated, that needed that time, is because you were seeing things that you probably didn't even understand, that maybe now you can go back and look and you have the proper terminology to place that and put that where it's supposed to be. You couldn't then, but you can now. So please, please, beloved, we're in a different time. All those who've been called and answered the call, it's time to step over and stop asking for confirmations and go back and review all the confirmations God gave you and say, you know what? I am that woman. I am that man. No one can stop me. God has just revealed to me who I am. Amen. Amen. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's the word for today. It's time to step up, okay, and walk forward in your identity in Christ because he has given it to you through your past. I love you. I love you. Go out there and light it up.